Hi guys! Today I'm going to teach you guys how to make a simpler version of this Quaffle Plushie character, for any of you Quidditch fans or players out there. This is a design that I am making exclusively to raise money to send the Long Beach Funky Quaffles team to the Quidditch World Cup. If you'd like to buy one that I've made for their Indiegogo campaign, click the Quaffle or read the video description below. I also don't usually share my plushie patterns, but because this is a special one, if you would like to try to make one of your own, you can download a PDF of the pattern in the video description as well. Let's get started. Start out by printing out the pattern PDF and cutting out the 3 pattern pieces. Fold a piece of fleece in half with the right side in, wrong side out. You'll be turning the plushie right side out later. Mark these places on the main body pattern piece so you can see them through the paper, then flip over the pattern and place it face down on your doubled fabric. Trace around the pattern with your marker, starting and stopping on the lines you marked. Later you'll be sewing on this line, so you want to make sure that you leave a hole for the stuffing. Then draw 2 more lines at the beginning and end so that you can see them better. Cut loosely around your drawn shape. I like to make a bigger rectangle around it. Here I'm going to add one of my branding tags, but you should only do this on work that you've designed yourself. Now add a bunch of pins to hold the 2 pieces of fabric together while you sew. This guy is done for now, so I'm putting it aside for later. Next, we'll cut out the face piece. I do this by holding the pattern onto the fleece and cutting around it carefully, but you could pin it down or trace around it if that's easier. It's better to cut it bigger than you need it and then fix the shape on the second try. Then, use the tiny circle pattern to cut out 2 eyes in black felt. I do this by cutting a square, then trimming around it until it looks good. Repeat the process with the second eye piece. Cut a length of black thread. Thread your sewing needle with it and tie a big knot at the end. You'll need to repeat this step for every new color or type of thread that you use for this project, just so you know. Using your pattern as a guide, place 1 felt eye onto the face shape and whip stitch it in place. If you aren't familiar with any of the stitches I use in this video, check the video description for links to more detailed tutorials. Sew on the other eye in the same way when you're done, using the same piece of thread. Then tie a knot or 2 on the back of the fabric using a previous stitch as an anchor and snip off the excess. Next, our Quaffle needs a smile. I'm going to use black pearl cotton and a few simple stitches in a smile-shaped line like this. It doesn't have to be perfect. Tie a knot in the back to secure it. My plushies have these little white highlights on their eyes, and I make them using French knot stitches. These can be kind of tough on your first couple tries, so practice on a scrap piece of felt if you need to. It's basically a knot tied right up against your fabric, and then you insert the needle back in where it came out and repeat it on the other eye. When you're done, it should look like this. Don't forget to tie a knot on the back. Next, I'm going to sew on the line we drew earlier to put together the plushie's body. I'm using a sewing machine, but if you want to hand sew it, make sure that your stitches are small enough that no stuffing can leak out. We'll start sewing on this line, go all the way around, and then stop on this other line to leave an opening right here. Start sewing, then go backwards a few stitches before continuing forward again. This will keep the stitches from coming out. Then sew all the way around the circle right on the line. This can be tough if you're a beginner, but take it slowly and you'll be fine. Also, fleece is a really forgiving fabric, so if you go off just a little bit, it's not a huge deal, it'll look great. Stop sewing on the end line we marked earlier. We want to leave a hole here so we can flip the plushie inside out. Backtrack a few stitches to secure it, and you're ready for the next step. Take out the pins, then cut around the sewn line, not too close to your stitches. Leave a small tab around the hole we left open. I'm going to cut some little V-shaped notches around the edge so the fabric doesn't bunch up inside when I flip it inside out. Be careful not to cut your stitches though. Then, reach in, grab the inside, and turn your piece inside out. Use a chopstick or a dowel to push it into shape, and then tuck the little fabric tag we cut out into the hole. Next, fill up your plushie with stuffing. I'm using polyester fiber fill. Take small handfuls and push them into the far edges of the plushie. Occasionally, you can stop and check that the shape is right, and if it isn't, add more stuffing to the places that need more. Fleece like this stretches in one direction and not in the other, so you may have to choose where to put more stuffing to get a perfect circle. When the shape looks good to you, flatten the opening and pin it shut. Now start a ladder stitch between the 2 pieces of fabric so your knot stays hidden. Ladder stitch with red thread is the best way to close this opening because you'll barely see it when it's pulled tight. Again, for a more detailed tutorial on this stitch, read the video description. When you're done, grab a nearby stitch with your needle and tie a double knot using it as an anchor. To hide your excess thread, put the needle in really close to your knot and let it poke back out of the plushie an inch away. Then snip your excess off where it comes out. Now take the pin out and we have a plushie body! All that's left is to sew the face on. Put the face piece in place and pin it down so it doesn't move around while you're sewing. Then start sewing the face on. Start on the underside of one corner so your knot is hidden underneath the piece. Then whip stitch all the way around the shape. Try to keep your stitches pointing into the middle of the shape and turn the piece as you go. Take your time because these stitches will be more visible, but it's okay if they're not perfect. It'll have loads of handmade charm no matter what. When you get all the way around to where you started, grab your first stitch with your needle and use it to tie a double knot. Then hide the rest of the thread like we did earlier and snip off the excess. Take out your pins and yay, we're all done! This is the finished Quaffle plushie. I think he is super cute. Also, feel free to get creative with this. The ones I'm making for the Long Beach Funky Quaffles have little brooms in their team colors. The sky is the limit, folks. If you make your own Quaffle plushie from this tutorial, make sure you send me a picture at Lauren Myrtle on Twitter, because I would love to see it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.